Since there's such a wide variety of keyboards, they each demand their own approach to adding reverb. In this video, we'll look at some of the techniques for adding reverb to a grand piano track. Since a piano is so percussive, reverbs that are timed to the track usually fit better than reverbs that are not. The exception is a solo piano or a classical situation where you're more concerned with putting the piano in an environment or enhancing any ambience that's already there. So the first thing we're going to do is listen to this piano, and it is a solo piano, which is a special case. But that's okay because it'll give us a chance to listen to what happens with the piano just on its own. Let's listen by itself. So I have a Deverb, which is one of the native reverb plugins in Pro Tools. And I have it set to a small room. And if you take notice, there's a decay of 500 milliseconds. And this is a very, very small room. Have a listen to what happens when we add it. Now what happens with a small room or a small reverb in general is that it's really good for making something bigger, but it doesn't necessarily put it in an environment. Especially a piano that's solo and on its own, it really likes a lot more reverb in a much bigger space. So even if we set it to large here, which is about a second, have a listen to what it sounds like. It's still not as big as what we'd like. So now let's move up to a plate. We're going to put this generously at 2.3 seconds. Have a listen. Now this helps a lot, but let me show you another thing that really helps it out. Here's a pre-delay. If we bring this out to 20 milliseconds, let's say, have a listen to what it sounds like now. Not only is it bigger, but there's more of an environment there. But really, a solo piano likes a much bigger space. Let's go to a hall and have a listen. Sounds pretty good. Let's add a little bit of a pre-delay. Have a listen. You can hear as we mute the reverb how much bigger it sounds with it and how much the pre-delay actually helps. We can actually double this. Let's bring this out more to 50 milliseconds. Have a listen to what happens. Now the beauty of the pre-delay is it actually makes the reverb more prominent without getting in the way. And the reason for that is the fact that you hear the attack of the piano, and then there's a slight delay, and then you hear the reverb, and you hear them separately. Without the pre-delay, they're both on top of one another, and they sort of blend together, which isn't exactly what we want all the time. So that's a few concepts to think about when adding reverb to a piano. Reverbs that are timed to the track usually work better than reverbs that are not because the piano is so percussive. The exception is a solo piano or a classical situation where you're more concerned with placing the piano in an ambient space.